riding down the road one day. I saw something on the radio. They're talking about NBA. You're going to laugh when I say this. NBA first team and all this. I turned the radio off. I started thinking, who's my first team?
Oh, that's a nice one, Coach.
Who's my second team?
Who's your
Who's my third team? My third team would win the league right now.
Yeah, Coach, I'm
Now
gonna
you're
put
going.
you on the spot, Coach. I need your top five Catawba players.
My top five. Oh my goodness, I'm gonna make somebody mad on this one. Hey, I'm
Yes.
gonna have. Hey, I'm gonna solve this one easy.
Hey! Welcome to another episode of the Couch for Rob Fields. I'm your host, Rob Fields, and today we have a really special episode for you guys. I don't want to do too much of an intro, and I really could, but I'll say it like this: today on this episode, we have a coach, we have a mentor, and we have a doggone good father on the show today. Ladies and gentlemen, give big hand claps to Coach Jim
Hey, Rob.
Baker.
Thank you, Rob. Thank
Yeah,
you, Rob.
no
You're the
problem.
man. Thank you, Rob.
Coach, thanks for coming on the show.
No problem. Glad to be here, and I look forward to spending some time to you. And I know we've got a great past history together, and it's going to be a lot of fun talking about our time at Catawba and you and the person you've become. And I'm just so proud of you, and I'm happy and tickled to death to be here with you today.
Yeah, Coach. I've been looking forward to this one, and I wanted to make sure that I mapped it out just right. Just so when you came here, it was up to par. All right, I wanted to make sure that was right. So, Coach, I want to start the conversation with this. All right, so um, at the end of my senior year, all right, I committed to South Carolina State, and it did not work out, and I was looking for an opportunity, and I got a call from one of your high esteemed players, Ahmad Murphy, and he
Uh huh.
said, "Man, some stuff happened on campus. We need a guard. You need to come out to Catawba and work out basically tomorrow." And my mom and I, we drove to Catawba, and we had a workout. All of the guys were out of school. I think it was like three or four players that were still there, and maybe a couple football players and Coach Marv. And we worked out. We played some 1-on-1, 3-on-3 or whatever. And you gave your legendary speech where you sit players down and you jot down all of the figures of how much it costs to go to school for
Uh-huh.
1 year. And at the end of the conversation, you put that zero on the board and you said, "This is how much you will pay." And Coach, you don't understand how impactful that moment was, because my whole existence for playing basketball, my reason for playing basketball was just to be able to pay for college.
Uh-huh.
So where did that pitch come from? How did you perfect that pitch?
Well, it was a little bit of probably trial and error. I had been a Division One coach at Davidson and Virginia Tech and VMI, and then coming back to Catawba. Every institution is different, and I just as you started recruiting, you learn to formulate what you think works, and
Mm.
you probably remember the spiel on the couch that. You're interested in the next 4 minutes. What are you going to do in 4 minutes? Are we going to wear Nike or Adidas? What trips we're going? Can I get to the calf to see what the girls look like? And dad's always interested in the next 4 years. Is my son going to play here? Or how do you see him playing? You think he'll start? And blah, blah, blah. And mom's always interested in the next 40 years.
Yeah,
Can
yeah.
this young man get his degree? What's he going to be like? The mom wants, and dads do too. But I just sort of picked it my 40-year speech,
Yeah.
and then Division two recruiting is a little bit tricky. Where Division one, they offer the kids the full financial package, athletic package. In Division two, you have to sort of piece it together, and I perfected it, and I put that big high number up at the top, and everybody's stomach gets a knot in it. The parents swallow, and then I start minusing it out, and I get it down to zero, and um, uh, And I can't do a lot of things. I can't fly an airplane. I can't operate on anybody, but I figured out how to sell it, and it became an easy sell. And I'm a little bit impulsive on my players. I see them, and the great Art Wade that played before you. I brought him in the gym and I said, Art, shoot a free throw. He shot one free throw. I said, come on, you're going to get a scholarship. Marvin Moore, same way. You're the same way.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, and Antonio Houston, all these young men that made me a great coach. That were dogs on the court, super young people. I formed an opinion pretty quick on them, and I remember Ahmad coming in there and telling me I got another homeboy. And I said, Lord,
hmm
Ahmad, I can't take two kids from Orangeburg, South Carolina. So you came in there, and I mean, it wasn't like 5 minutes into the workout.
yeah.
We're going to figure out somehow to get this young man here. And it worked out really good for you and the boys you came in with. And, of course, it worked out for me. You guys won a ton of games for me while you were there. So.
Yeah, and I really want to go into, that part of it, just how you get into getting certain guys and what you were looking for. But I want to go here before we get there, Coach. So you, by the time that I got to Catawba, of course, you had already been established as a coach, and the culture was established, and you were already in the community. Tell
Mhm.
me about your connection to Salisbury and just Catawba. How did you get to be head coach Jim Baker?
Well, I grew up about 4 miles from Catawba. I was Salisbury and Spencer's a little sister town to it, and um, I played for my dad at North Rand High School. While I was there, believe it or not, some of the Catawba greats, I followed them then. It was Coach Moyer's career. He was humming along. Catawba didn't even have a gym.
What?
It's ironic. And they had to practice either at Salisbury High School or North Rowan.
Wow.
And so I was a kid in the fall in the gym watching these just huge kids, the Catawba players run and dunk and soaking wet, sweating. So, I guess the word Catawba got into me pretty early. And my dad would take us, he was coaching high school, would take my brother and I to see Catawba play. And of course, when they played some home games at North Rowan, would go to the games. And my senior year, I had a decent high school career, and my best friend was going to UNC Charlotte. So I went with him, walked on, made the JV team. They were pretty good. They had Cedric Maxwell, Melvin Watkins were all sophomores, and I played on the JV team, and I was pretty lucky. The morning of the first game, the scholarship guard in front of me decided to redshirt. And back then, you could have about 20 kids on full scholarship. JV team was huge. We were like
Mm.
6'10, 6'9, 6'6 everywhere. And I was the only little guard running around. So I never came out of the games. So for my whole career at Charlotte, I don't know if I hardly ever came out because they needed a guard because they were all post players. And end up there, and I wanted to continue to play, and they were really good. And Coach Rose, they offered me a position. You want to go be a manager, and we'll help you get a coaching job when you're later. And I just wanted to play, and you're young and uh, probably could only see the next 4 minutes, as I said, in front of me. And
hmm
my dad had knew Coach Moyer for a long time. Contacted him. Next thing I know, I'm up in Coach Moyer's office, and he pulls out a number two pencil. We didn't have dry boards then, and pulls out a number two pencil and a clipboard with some white paper on it. And he starts figuring my scholarship up just like I did for you on the board. And
Okay.
believe it or not, I was on tennis scholarship and soccer scholarship when I
Oh.
first got to Catawba. The coaches would go up and down trade scholarships. Hey, do you have any money? Stuff. And school was a lot cheaper, so I think I was on like a $500 tennis scholarship, some
Wow.
basketball scholarship. I mean, maybe I got a couple hundred soccer. So, I played for Coach Moyer and wasn't a great player, but three of my teammates are in the Hall of Fame, and ended up playing some my senior year, and then Coach Moyer loved me, and I wasn't the best player, but you being a coach's son, you knew what it was all about. You
Right,
didn't
right,
cause
right.
any problems with your tail and do what you did. And, I had a couple job offers, and I hung up. There was an old payphone in the lobby of the gym, and I hung up the payphone. He just turned down a high school teaching job, and they wanted me to coach the JV team. And I turned around, and Mike Turner, offensive coordinator, walked by, and he says, "Baker, what are you doing?" And I said, "I just turned down a job." He goes, "What?" I said, "Yeah, I don't know if I want to coach high school right now." So he said, "Come on, we're going to make you a coach." So he walks, true story, walks me back into Coach Moyer's office. He said, "Coach Moyer, Baker wants to coach college. We're going to make him a coach." I got him the first semester. He's going to be the offensive scout team coach. And you got him the second semester. We'll put him up in the dorm. He'll be in charge of the old Pine Knot dorm. He'll be in charge of
Okay.
the football players. We'll get him a meal card. And if he wants to take some classes, he takes some classes. So I was in charge of the dorm. I was offensive scout coach. I'd hold up the cards with the plays, and then I worked with Coach Moyer, and I love to recruit. I think I went to Fayetteville. We was recruiting a little guard. It ended up, I think, with the Western or Appalachian, and I went to Fayetteville like I think it was 13 times to recruit this kid.
Wow.
And so, I just learned the system. And then, I bounce around. I go to Wingate for a year. I started my master's. I go to Belmont Abbey, work for Bobby Hussey. Then the job came open, and I was like 24, and I interviewed for the head coaching job. I didn't get it, but my head coach had gone to Davidson. He says, "Baker, if you don't get the job, you come with me." So then I go to Davidson for 8 years. We had a pretty good run in the middle of that. Go to Virginia Tech for 2, VMI for 2. In between there, at Virginia Tech, I met my wife, Tina. Go to VMI, and I had talked to Catawba 3 times about coming back, and it was just never quite right. I had the Division I bug in me, and enjoyed you're playing in big arenas and eating really good food, and you're traveling
Oh
around,
yeah.
getting a lot of good gear, and it was a lot of fun. And I was on the phone talking to Catawba about a player. I was trying to help him get one, and Coach Moore, he says, "Baker, I'm coaching one more year. I've already told him I want you to replace me. Can you come back, help me win?" Because he'd fallen down to, the last couple of years were
Okay.
not really as good as his standard. Come help me. You'll take over in the spring. And so I hung up the phone. Tina and I were getting married June the 5th. That was 1993. And I started at Catawba technically June 1. And I
Wow.
called up Tina and I said, "Tina, we're moving to Salisbury." She then had moved on she was at Blacksburg. She went to Virginia Beach, was working up there in sales and catering at the Marriott. So she goes, "What?" I said, "Yeah, we're going to Salisbury." So we moved to Concord, and it was sort of split the difference between both of our jobs. Helped Coach Moyer his last year. We were able to send him out with a winning record, and he was great. Very few people know this. I walked in the first day. He says, "Baker, you got $2,000 to recruit with," which was, a pretty good amount back in the day.
Wow.
"Here's your schedule. You make your schedule. Um, Tell me how much time you want every morning to work on defense and practice." He says, "All I want to do is coach the offense." True story. And so I put in all my out of bounds plays, all the defense, did the recruiting and so forth. And he would make out the daily practice schedule. He
Mm.
would write on the top of it, now, number 2 pencil, warm up 5 minutes, layups 5 minutes. And then he would put shooting 10 minutes. And then he put how much time you want for defense. Well, I thought he was kidding, because
Yeah.
Coach Moyer was like, "Let's get 100 and see if they can catch us."
Mhm.
And I threw out the first day 50 minutes. He wrote down 50 minutes. So he gave me
Okay.
50 minutes to work on defense. And then he put water, and then he'd write offense, 1 hour. True story. And every day we get through the shooting, and he'd disappear. And he would go walk. He'd go walk on the track every day, and he'd have a hot top, sort of like I'm wearing on. He's
Yeah.
chewing tobacco. He'd come back soaking wet, and he'd walk up to me every day with about a minute to go on the clock. He says, Baker, you tired of doing this crap? Let's scrimmage. And and we get in there. He'd pick his five, his starters. I'd pick what's left, and we would scrimmage for hour and a half. It was just his era was a different era than mine. So
Yeah.
when we were able to win the championship in '96, that was my second year, probably unheard of, and. We for the longest run, we had one of the best Division II programs in the country, and we got to 100 wins, 200 wins, 300 wins pretty darn quick. Lenore Ryan and PC were sort of dominating the league, and we got it cranked up and put them in second place where they should be, and we kept rolling. And I had a lot of really good kids come through there, and young people like yourself that I'm so proud of. And you know what's amazing? The texts and the calls, and I still, it makes me feel good every time one of my former players text me or call me. Father's Day, you get a text. They're just some super young men, and I'm so proud of what we did together, and even more proud of the people that they are today.
So yeah, I mean, I'm happy that you said that, because that's a great transition to the next question I'm going to ask you. What was that golden trait, that golden attribute that you look for in a player? Like you said with Art Wade, like shoot a free throw for me, Art. All right, coach. He shoots one, and you like, I mean, what's that golden attribute, or plural, that you were looking for in players?
I honestly tried to look at this kid, and I wanted to see this kid, how he would fit into my program. And I wasn't worried about who was recruiting him. You're going to laugh. I think I had 30 some all-conference players, and I didn't see you play in high school. I didn't see Ahmad play in high school.
Right. Okay.
Probably 2/3 of the all-conference players I had, I never saw them play in high school.
Wow.
And I would sort of let everybody get done. The Division I's get through recruiting. The Division II's, everybody was out wanting to get it over with. I felt like, the longer I waited, the better player I was going to get, because not everybody can go. And there's a lot of good kids out there, a lot of great young men that can play. They just needed to get in the right fit. And I wanted kids that you're going to really laugh on this one. If you go to the pet store and spend $1,000 for this dog, this dog's going to be a pain in the rear end.
Yeah.
I mean, not going to listen to you and whatnot. But if you go to the pound and get this dog there that's been in that cage for 2 weeks, and you tell that dog, come here, boy, come on, that dog's going to be as loyal and faithful as he can. And I really believe that. I got some breaks in my coaching career that somebody gave me a chance, and I felt like, Lord, if I could give a kid here or there a chance along the way. And I mean, you had a lot to prove. I mean, you didn't have a whole lot going on. You had a lot to prove. Antonio Houston, who was one of the big four with you, he had like 11 or 12 D1 offers. Donald had nothing. Donald played for Coach Moyer's grandson's AAU team, and Coach Moyer said, Baker, you ought to take this kid. He's a good kid. I took Donald. And then and look at Donald, he's a full-grown man just like you, went overseas. All he needed was a chance. Donzel's probably your boy from Orangeburg is going to get mad if I say this, because Ahmad could D you up. Ahmad's the second best defensive player I've ever had. Donzel, your teammate, was the best. Donzel could guard anybody. He could guard anybody. And Donzel didn't have a whole lot. But I think, too, if you give a kid an opportunity and he's hungry and he wants to go prove it, good things will happen. And I wasn't worried so much if Lenore Ryan or PC or Gardner Webb or whoever was recruiting this kid. I wanted to project that kid like I looked at you. If I get you a little bit bigger, put some weight on you, get your butt in that weight room, all of a sudden you go from benching, 150 to benching 215. My whole MO was by his junior year, everybody say, wow, where'd you get that kid from? Because now he's getting to be a full-grown man. And, a couple of times I had a chance to take kids. They were had a full beard, and
Yeah.
they were 6'2", they're not going to get any bigger. And, I'd
Yeah.
rather take that kid that looks like a baby and he's 6'1", and the next thing you know, you put the weight and the strength on him, and he's going to get bigger. And like yourself,
Mm-hmm.
your mom's a lot better cook, but you go to the calf 3 or 4 times a day because you want to see the girls, and you're going to eat
Mm-hmm.
better in college. You're going to eat
Yep.
more, and you hit that weight, and we hit the weights really hard, and it's just sort of funny to this day and time. I think I could coach college now, but it's different. It's really different.
Yeah.
Jamie, my oldest son, played college at Presbyterian, App State, and then he's a GA at Alabama. Now he's at Kennesaw State. I mean, we talk every day about kids, about his kids, and how that some of them don't bite in, they don't work hard. Here's a kid that's a 4-star player and got all the media and all the pub coming
Yeah.
down the stretch, and the kid won't compete. He
Yeah, I
won't
mean,
compete.
and now, coach, like the players are making more than the coaches in college, and
Oh yeah,
at
it's
the top
crazy.
level, right? So, I mean, it's one thing in the
Oh yeah,
pros, right? That's how it happens, in the NBA, NFL, whatever. But now the college player, well, some high school players with the NIL are
oh
now
yeah.
making more money than the high school coach. So it's like if you don't really have their respect, like deep down, it's going to be tough to tell a kid, I don't know, dive on the floor for a ball or you missed a
Oh yeah.
rotation, you know?
Yeah, I
But
mean, they look at you, well, where's my NIL money? You know what I'm saying?
how much money can you give
And,
me?
and I really, really think it's going to backfire here. I think the alumni are going to get tired of coming up with the money. They're not going to get the results they think they are. Uh, there's a lot going on now. You're starting to see that the kids are not getting their money. They're being promised 100,000. They may get 20. It's a
Yeah.
lot going on. And then I feel bad for these kids. Don't get too far off subject. Next thing you know, they're going to be getting hooked up with the IRS because they didn't pay
Oh
taxes and
yeah.
stuff like that. So,
Hmm.
but it was a different era, and you guys and y'all probably remember. I would set y'all up about late January, early February. I get mad once a day and throw y'all out of the gym, and then I never had to say much to you because you wanted to win. You wanted to go out and prove it,
Yeah.
and it was
Yeah.
sort of a setup. I let a few things go. Rob missed class. Antonio didn't go talk to his teacher, and all of a sudden one day I look at my coaches and I said, "Today may be the day." And somebody make a make a turnover in practice. Now I go off on them, throw them out of the gym, and you guys that competed, y'all would always send a manager up to talk to me.
Hmm.
And my last year or two, I'd throw them out of the gym occasionally, and they'd all run to the dorm. I mean, they didn't want to compete. And you got. I remember, I threw Marvin Moore, and out the gym one day, and he was the best player on the best team. He's
Yeah.
Hall of Famer. He's in a couple Hall of Famers now.
Yeah.
So, but that was part of it, trying to get the most out of you guys. And we're all human. Some days we won't take a day off, but if you get in the habit of taking the day off, you're going to take the day off when you're at Presbyterian on the road. You're at Lenore Ryan. It's all a mindset. And
Yeah. Yeah.
I,
Yeah.
I, I was blessed through your area. I had some dogs, and they love to compete. So,
Yeah. I mean, I kind of feel like the stars aligned in my class, so I'm sure Coach Marv and Art could say the same about about their class, but I feel like the stars really aligned. So, like you said, Antonio could have went to a number of different schools. Donald he redshirted the year before I got there, right? So,
oh
he
yeah,
was
uh
on
huh,
that same track as us, and then Donzel, and then eventually Dominic, uh, Damo,
oh
what we
yeah.
call him, right? He
Mhm.
ended up coming around that same time too, and I mean, with his ability, I mean, anyone could have used him, like especially any of the schools in the SAC. And
Oh
I
yeah,
just felt like
yeah.
the
And,
stars
I
aligned.
look back. I look back on it now, Rob. I'd have never kept all of y'all. Y'all had made all conference. You know, 2 years ago, Catawba was below 500, and they had two kids transferred to D1 schools. You know,
Wow.
now think about it. You got two D1 kids playing, and you didn't have a great year. Okay, and a lot of factors go in. I'm
Yeah.
saying people get hurt, and whatnot. But look at the run we had. I'd have
Yeah.
lost every one of you guys the way it is now. and
Yeah.
you just it's people in your ear and talking, and a little bit when we really started struggling. I had Marvin's cousin, Keon Moore, and Keon scored 1,000 points in 2 years, and you know somebody got a hold of his ear and he transferred to Winthrop and he scores 1,000 points there.
Yeah.
And I had another big kid that left, and that was a little bit of my problems more in my last year or so. But you think about starting over, and my whole thing was I was trying to make it a family. I wanted the kids to come in, and you probably remember I probably told you as a freshman you may play 6 minutes, which in back
Yeah.
of my mind I knew you're probably going to play 12.
Yeah.
And I said, well, when you get to be a sophomore, you're going to probably play 14 minutes, which I knew in the back of my mind you're probably going to play 28.
Yeah.
But I didn't want to lie to the kid, and
Hmm.
I felt like I always sold it a little bit short of where I thought they were going to fit in. I really wanted the kids to be here, and Pete Cool. You remember Pete was a 6'8" kid. He
Hmm.
came down, worked out, didn't like the program he was in. The kid, they're all smoking pot, and he just said, "Coach, it's awful. Nobody wants to win." And the kid called me every single day, "Coach, can you take me? Can you take me?" And finally, one day, I gave him $8,000. I said, "Pete, come on. I only got $8,000. We'll put the package together. You're going to have to take out some loan or whatever." He
Hmm.
says, "I'm coming." I walked in the office, told the coaches. I said, I took Pete Cool. I said, "Wow, I thought you wasn't going to take him." I said, "Anybody wants to be here that bad?" He called me.
True.
You're not going to believe it. By September, the kid was on full scholarship, and all he wanted to do was rebound and play defense. And
Yeah.
we had a pretty good run with him. We may have won another championship, but he broke his thumb, regular season, and we struggled a little bit without him. But that was the type of kids I was lucky enough to have. That they wanted to win, they wanted to be there, they were proud of Catawba, and I say it over and over. They were some dogs. They love to compete and they love to play.
Yeah, and I think to your point, Coach, you talk about how it feels, just kind of seeing some of the young players do what they do now. I think a big, and I think I should give myself some credit. You brought me in the office, and this was sophomore year, and I started some games. I did okay, but we had lost a couple, and you brought me into the office, and you told me, Rob, listen, we got to make some changes. So I'm thinking, oh man, I'm about to get kicked out of school, man. and then and then what you told me was that instead of having me in the starter rotation, you were going to bring me off the bench. And at that moment, I was bought in. So I was like,
Mhm.
okay. And I mean, and what you did tell me at that moment, you said, listen, I'm not taking your minutes. I just feel like we need a push off of the bench. And I think honestly that changed my career, and it also changed the dynamic of our team because it allowed the coaching staff, you to be more flexible with the starting lineup, and I was comfortable in that role. So that's from my sophomore year on out. I mean, I came off the bench pretty much every game from that
Oh
point.
yeah.
And I mean, fortunately, because you let me play and you let me be expressive on the court, and you kind of, just kind of let me do my thing. I scored 1,500 points as a six man, and Donald was the same way, right? So
Oh yeah.
so it's
And,
pretty
and,
crazy.
and Rob, I tell people over and over, even trying to convince my high school when I took over at Central Cabarrus now. Everybody's worrying about who starts, and there was a couple kids that I started the first 4 minutes of each half. It was trying to set it up to have the right lineup in there going down the stretch.
Yeah.
And it's fun to get your name called out and all that, but I've been doing this long enough. The first 4 minutes of the game doesn't make a whole lot of difference. You're going to have to grind it out and get it done. Um, we try to set it up, and even to this day at Central, I'm bringing some really good players off the bench, and the game has a spurt of energy. People turning the ball over. Think about run. Everybody's antsy running down, and then when that game starts settling down, I'm bringing you and Donald off the bench.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I, then you look over there and everybody's gassed a little bit. And my two guys, I'm coming off the bench. They know they're going in at the 4 minute, the timeout.
Yep.
And you guys averaged 16 points your senior year. Both of you are all conference, and it was tough. And I don't know if I ever took you out again once I put you in there, but I was trying to set the game up and manage the minutes right and do what was best for the team. And you look at it, Rob, you're what, 15th all time scorer in
Hmm.
125 games, scored 1,500 points, and you had a heck of a career. And I went back and looked through some stuff. You were eight, was it eight? 84.4% free throw shooter. You're sixth all-time best free throw shooter. You had a couple games. You had one game you had 12 for 12, one game 11 for 11. You're in right around the top 10 in 3-point attempts and mades, and you had a heck of a run. And you look at that run that we had when you were there. We go to 4 NCAA's tournaments. We go to 3 tournament finals. Won 2 of them. Should have won the third one. We didn't. We were trying too hard. I had you guys too jacked up. That we had in our conference. Best I remember, we had won the regular season and the tournament back to back twice, and no one in our league had done it 3 times. And I had you guys too pumped up. We go in and play Bball. We were too tight. I had one of my favorite referees refereeing, and we got off to a horrible start, trying too hard. And that may have been when we went to halftime, and I gave the movie Risky Business, halftime show. Sometimes you got to say, what the heck, nothing's going right. And we made a great comeback. And to this day, that's one of the few games I think about all the time. If I'd had one more timeout, we'd have won that thing. And
Yeah.
we come down and score. If I could have called timeout and stopped the game, we would have won that thing, is no doubt. And that kid dribbles the length of the floor and throws up a floater. And Donald misses it by like that from blocking it. Then, here we come the other way with it. And had a shot, but and then we won 2 regular seasons, championships. And you look back on that, Rob, that team was in the top 3 or 4 or 5 highest scoring teams ever in the history of Catawba, and ranked really high in the sack scoring. And with you, Antonio Houston, Donzel Williams, Donald Rutherford, I graduated 5,400 points. Now you think about that's just stupid numbers. When you graduate 4 kids, it's 5,400 points, and what they accomplished. And then that was a little bit of my problem from then on. I lost all of you guys. I had to reload. We go into the SAC added 4 non-football teams, and they're throwing a ton of money into it. Our budget was already one of the lower in the South Atlantic Conference, and we were having to raise a good bit of money, get to the middle, and then we throw in these 4. But when you guys left, it became a little bit of a struggle for me with I just couldn't get the right combination of kids back in there. So, but that's coaching, that's life, and that's how it goes.
Before we go forward, Coach, talk. So of course, you have now moved on. Tell me about that transition and how it made you feel. Like when it was time to go, did you know that time was coming, or was it abrupt? How did that happen? Because I don't even think we talked about this together.
We had gotten a new president, and you probably, if you stay anywhere too long, you probably made some enemies. And there was a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes, and there were some staff issues. There were some issues in the athletic department. Then we got the new president, and it wasn't fun anymore. I was pretty much my own guy, and a college coach, you're contracted to win games, and that's pretty much what it is. And within the philosophy of the school, and it just wasn't fun. And I would stay home some mornings and do my work here at about 11 o'clock, except if I had to teach a class or cover something like that. I'd go in and eat lunch, go out and eat, get there for a half hour, go eat lunch, come back, practice. It wasn't fun,
Okay.
and
All right.
it was a lot going on. And Tina, my wife, said, if you don't get out of there, you're going to die. And
Okay. Yeah. Right.
that
Okay.
was, it was about time. And when you retired from Catawba or die while you're there, they give a package for your kids to go to a tuition exchange program. They could go there, about 700 schools in the country, um, pretty much tuition free, which is a pretty big benefit. And they
Hmm.
offered me that. And I said, here's the keys. I'm out of here.
Okay.
And
All right.
wasn't quite sure what I was going to do. And it was tough because I had spent 3 years of my life there as a student, 1 year helping the football and basketball as assistant. I come back to help Coach Moyer. So right there is 5 years, and then 20 years as a head coach. So, I had spent 25 years on that campus, and it was a great place, but it was time. The new administration, and I think they wanted to make some changes, and it's like anything else. They were looking at what was going on right then, not what we had done, and um, I stepped away. My whole family wanted me to keep staying in college. I mean, they loved the college atmosphere. And you know me, I was taking my family on trips with it. They were, we throw them in the bus and they'd fall asleep on the way home on a school night. I'm surprised the DSS didn't come get my wife and I. But I mean, it was a great life. But I wanted my players to see a family, and I want the kids to be around my players, my kids to be around my big kids, and be
Mm.
around them, and see what good people they were. And I think it all fits together. And it's funny. You know me. There in the end, they were questioning me why I was working out with my players at practice. Why was I bringing my kids on the bus? Why this? Why that? And I said, nobody said anything about all that. When we were
When you're
winning.
winning. Yeah.
Yeah,
Mm.
when you're winning, yeah. Well, you're living in Concord. We think you need to be living in Salisbury. We need you engaged with it. I said, holy cow, I'm a member of civic groups, and I'm from here. I can't go to the grocery store without running into somebody. I mean, this is my home. So it was a good excuse for him. But, God has a plan. And, I stepped back. Tina said, what are you going to do? I interviewed for a couple of jobs, and it just didn't work out. And then Carolina Courts, I had done a camp over there in the summer, called and offered me a job to run the basketball program. And, I did that for a year. It was okay, but I'm dealing every weekend with all these parents of 10-year-olds. They're going to the league. They're
Yeah.
yelling at referees, getting thrown out. And, you having to work on the weekends. And the girls I was working with were great, but none of them wanted to be there on weekends because the parents acted so stupid. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah. 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 I
yeah,
can. I mean, I get it. Like, I wouldn't want to be there either with that mess.
and every kid's going to the league, and when you got a kid that's like an eighth grader, and he yells "F you" at the referee, and then you say you're out of here, and he yells at you, the same thing, and then his mom and dad come by and yell the same thing at you. Something's wrong. Something is wrong.
Yeah.
And but good Lord had a plan. And Jamie, my oldest son's travel baseball coach, when he was about 8 year old, was the athletic director at Central Cabarrus High School. And they kind of yelled at me before then. They thought the coach was leaving, and he was going overseas to take a job. Wonder if I'd be interested. And I said, I think if I do it, I got to be here. You got to be in the school and whatnot. And then he left the following year, and they offered me the job. And I go in there as a little bit older, and whew, my first year or two, Rob, they would not listen. And we were talented, but we had kids getting technicals with a minute to go in a tie game. You know what I'm
Oh
saying? Just
gosh.
got that bad call. Yeah, the referee. We we we'd be shooting free throws, and I couldn't find one of them. He's up in the lobby of the gym talking to the cheerleaders.
Oh my gosh.
We're supposed to be in the locker. We're supposed to be in the locker room after the game. One's in the parking lot with his shirt off, arguing with his girlfriend, the resource officer. I'm thinking, oh Lord, what have I done? what have I done? And
Yeah.
we won 4 games that year. And uh, Scott Brewer, a good friend of mine, he helped me at Catawba for a couple of years as a volunteer coach. And he had left Catawba as a volunteer coach and took the job at Central and won a state championship. And he coached Ish Smith. And during that whole
Yeah.
period, the athletic director and a local legend coach, Bo Brickles, would come to watch us play. And so they came to all of our bunch of our games, come to watch us play and whatnot. So he had been around me, see me, and he offered me the job. And then he left and went back up to Upper Midwest with his family.
Yeah.
And so the culture was just not very good. And the old plays I used to run with you guys, run ACC, and we
Hmm.
dummy it, practice it, and do that. And 2 minutes ago in the game, I call ACC. I draw it up on the old clipboard, and then we go out and just do the exact opposite on the first pass. And the culture was not there. We won 4 games. We won 6. And I'm questioning myself, can I do
So,
this or not? And my whole plan was if I could do it for 5 years, I'd develop another retirement, because you had
yeah.
your college retirement, Social Security. So I was trying to, for my family and myself, double dip a little bit. And then I got a couple kids coming in and they were into it. And
But
then I
but
got,
let me before you go to that point, coach. Let me ask you how. So how did it work itself out? Did the players have to graduate, or did you have to do what some coaches are doing now, where you're like your services are no longer needed? Like how
well,
do
and,
you
and
work that out?
well, a true story. My first year, I believe it was, we have a brawl on the road in a game, and I finished the season with six varsity players. Had to move up to JV.
What?
We come off. I mean, that's what I'm saying. It was just
Oh
they
my
got me
God.
pushing and carrying on, and my principal and my AD said, Coach Baker, we know you're trying to save these kids, but you got to let them go. And
Oh my
you know,
God.
I had a few kids that were very talented, but I thought I could turn their heads. You know what I'm saying? You thought you get them in there. I had 2 young assistants, and I said, we'll get this thing straightened out. And Scott Brewer, who was the coach there, um, told me, we're good friends. He was one of our biggest fans this year in the state championship run. He said, Baker, it's going to take you 3 years. I said, Scott, you're crazy. I said, this is all I know how to do. I said, we're going to flip this thing around. He says, it's going to take you 3 years. And he says, you're going to have to, my advice is you're going to need to get one player in each class that can play,
Hmm.
throw in a couple football players, and then the culture began to change. And our third, we won 4 games, then we won 6, and then my third year we went 17-12, finished second, and got in the state playoffs. So then the culture starts to change, and
Right.
I hate to say it, you had to cut some seniors that were thought they deserved to be on the team. Not keep a few JV kids, make a few people angry, but the culture began to change. And then now I got my system established. We're starting to play a little bit different, and it started snowballing. And it's like anything else. Once you get it going in the right direction, you just got to keep it going. You know what I'm saying? Keep getting a little push, and the snowball keeps gathering steam. And we went 12-2 the COVID year. Had a really tough draw. They didn't seed us in the the North Carolina High School playoffs. They drew numbers out. We ended up having to play the state champion in the second round, and then we went 31, and then 30-1, and this year we went 32-0, and
That is
we
crazy,
got it going
coach.
in the right direction.
What is that?
Yeah,
62-1 in 2 seasons?
so
Unbelievable.
it's pretty good, and I think we're going to be okay going into this year. But it's different. I got to coach the kids that come through the front door, where I could go out and recruit me a Rob Fields or a Donald Rutherford or a kid that would fit in that I think is going to develop. Here, I got to take what comes in through the front
Mm.
door,
Yeah.
and
So I
the
was going to
biggest
ask you
thing.
about that, coach. Just how do you manage it? I mean, because you said, I mean, I can't go out and recruit guys from this school or that school, right? Like it's illegal essentially, right? Um,
Yeah.
so how are you faring? Does it take more individual development? Does it take an even stronger coaching staff? Do you have to start in the middle schools? Like how does that work? Developing players,
Well,
excuse me.
what I've tried to do is open the gym. And, when you got kids that want to come for quote open gym, and we get in there and get after it. And um, it's funny how it starts breeding on itself, and it starts getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And we lost to West Charlotte. We didn't play well in the first half. I go in the locker room for the game, and the kids are all looking at the floor, patting their feet, like nervous, and no music playing. I'm walking like, what the heck's going on in here?
Yeah.
And I couldn't get them to loosen up. We come out really tight, made a heck of a run at West Charlotte, and they're won 3 or 4 state championships. That was in the Final Four 2 years ago, and we hadn't lost a game. So we
Hmm.
go 30-1. I give the kids a couple weeks off, and then we started back in that gym. And then this past year, by the time we opened up, you're going to shake your head. We had 205 events that we were together. And
Ooh.
49 of those were games in the summer and the fall. We went undefeated in the summer, uh, lost one game in the fall, about 150 some workouts. And you talk about being on the same page. I had 8
Okay.
of my 12 an hour. We have a STEM program that you can get into as a freshman, science program,
Yeah.
math, and all
Yeah.
that. And
Hmm.
8 of my 12 were in the STEM program, smart kids, and they just like to come and work. I didn't have to beg them to come. I didn't, every now and then I have to ask the JV kid, why aren't you coming? Well, I didn't have a ride today or something like that. But the core of my kids were there every day and getting better and better. And um, they loved to compete. They were fearless. They didn't mind who they're playing. And I've got 2 twins right now, Carson and Chase Daniels, that committed to Catawba as sophomores after their
Oh wow.
sophomore season.
Okay.
And their record, I may be off 1 or 2, but their record with me, now this is in the summer, in the fall, and their playing season, is like 188-6. I mean, it's just absolute stupid numbers. And they are dogs. They're the nicest kids, single mom. The mom's my scorekeeper. Uh, uh, she does a great job with them. And Catawba, absolutely, Coach Perriman's staff. They called me one night about 11 o'clock. They came to our game. They said, Coach, can we offer them? I said, yeah. I said, do you mind give us a number? I said, sure. They called them up at midnight, and it was school night, and offered them. And then they were coming out of an AAU game last March, and head coach walked up and said, y'all ready to commit to Catawba? And they said, yes, sir. We want to be Indians. So they
Wow.
go up there and play some open gym with them right now. They're not the tallest kids. They're not going to jump over you and back and dunk it, but they are going to definitely change the culture at Catawba. And it's
Nice.
Catawba had a really good year this year. Just wait till them 2 kids get up there. I mean, they are 100% dogs, and they love to play. They compete. They'll cut your throat and then walk off the court and hug your mom, hug you, just as nice as
Yeah.
they can be. So as I'm proud that they'll be going to Catawba, and who knows, maybe one of them will wear number 12.
Hello.
We
Yeah.
don't know.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. Yeah.
we-
Let's see, Coach. Let's
We'll
see. This is
we'll see.
big shoes to
Yes.
fill.
Yeah, it sure does. But
So Coach, tell
they're
me about getting to the top of the mountain. Being the king of the hill. So you
mhm.
guys in your last season, you won a state championship, something that is very hard to do. Unfortunately, at Catawba, we couldn't get you a NCAA, but you and the kids and the program and the parents and the staff, you all were able to feel that that emotion. You were able to get to the top
Mhm.
of the mountain. Tell me about how that felt for you to, after
Well,
everything, get that opportunity.
I realized our system needs to be a little bit different. So I really tweaked our system. And we started opening it up. We worked a lot on passing, one-handed passes, skip passes. We drive in the lane. We throw hook passes. Um, we press. We press on makes, misses, turnovers. We're interchangeable. The kids love how we play. Everybody says, well, why did you play like this at Catawba? I said, well, we pressed, but nothing quite like this. We
Yeah.
ran a little more conservative press, but we always were up in the 80s at Catawba, and that was in a 40-minute game. Well, this past year, we led the country in scoring in high school in a 32-minute game. We averaged 88 points a game. It's crazy.
Jeez.
And we
Wow.
played 32 games, and 22 of the 32, I call it run rule. We had the teams by 40 points with a running clock, and we had a special bunch. They love to compete, and we were pretty interchangeable. I told everybody, I, I had basically 7 guards that I was playing a lot,
Right.
and
Okay.
we opened that court up. We ran, we drive, we kick it. It was a lot of fun. We were up around 20 steals a game and 21 assists, which is crazy on 88 points. But the kids bought into it. Now the gym is starting to fill up. You can't get tickets. I had some friends that came to see us play, and I didn't even know they couldn't even get in the gym. I said, Lord, text me. I can sneak you in the back door.
Greatest
It
show in
was so
town.
high. Oh yeah, it's rolling. The community's behind us, and it just starts. It gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and then we lost last year to West Charlotte. We got them again. They're in this hybrid 3A, 4A league with North Mech, and they got some special reasons they get to play down in the state playoffs. I don't know if it's fair or not, but we played them twice, and we got them pretty good last summer after they beat us. And I felt like once we beat them in summer camp, we got them one morning, and we got them pretty good. We sort of knocked that image off. You know what I'm saying? They were up here, and you had to beat the past team sometimes before you beat the present team. And then things started rolling this year, and the building's selling out, and it's hot. The television crews are up there, and my guys are good kids, and the twins are going to Catawba are just like this.
Yeah.
I mess with them about getting a big head and whatnot, but I knew they thrived on it. You know what I'm saying? They were on a mission. That was sort of our hashtag, on a mission, and we just kept getting better and better, and we beat some good people along the way. We played a heck of a non-conference schedule that got us ready. We played a heck of a schedule in the fall, in the summer. Some of the people, they've thrown us out there against the best teams, and this coming off that year and going through this summer, and I'm sure coming in this fall, we're going to play some of the really good teams. We beat some of the best teams in the country, in the area, or Virginia, South Carolina, North Carolina this summer. We're starting to figure it out. Even though we lost a lot of points, I think we're going to be okay. My four new guys that moved up into playing time and starting roles first of the summer, we were beating people about 8 or 12, but then by the end of the summer, we're beating some really good teams, and we're starting to play like we do. We're pressing, we're pitching it, we're slicing, we're kicking it, and there's quite a few times I sit over there, Rob, and this thing's going crazy, and we're dunking the ball. I said, I don't have any control of this thing. It's just rolling, and it's a good feeling to know when your kids have bought in, and you guys would have a heart attack if you saw us play. The older guys, and a lot of my former players have come to see us. Jacob Parts, Marvin Moore.
Yeah.
A lot of those guys followed us going down the stretch. Some of the older guys I coached, Callum Brown, Jeff Vaughn, they all came to see us play this year. Said we'd heard so much about how y'all play, and it's really pretty wide open. And I guess looking at it, my age, what the heck? They want to fire me, they can fire me. I'm gonna play. We're gonna have fun, and when you were there, it's funny how things change. We spent a lot of time going over opponents' plays, going over this and that. Rob, I don't do any of that anymore because you're not going to run a play against us. We're going to make
There you go.
so crazy. we're going to make it so crazy, so wild. We got about 9 presses. We go through different tweaks it. We
Hmm.
keep tweaking it. You may hit the middle on us 2 times, but the third time you're not going to get it. And then we
There you
just
go.
keep
Hmm.
tweaking and tweaking. And so it's been a lot of fun. Good kids, and you do the laundry yourself. You clean up the locker room after the game. I don't have my CDL, so I don't drive the bus. I have to ride with the
Yeah,
girls or somewhere.
yeah,
Have
yeah.
to ride with them, sit through 2 JV games. But it's good, and I got a great administration. The AD is super, and I got some young assistants uh, that I get to be a little bit more like grandpa. I can come up and say, "Hey, Rob, why are you doing this?" Where they can chew the kid out a little bit more than I do.
Okay, nice, 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 nice.
I still occasionally give them a little wake up call, but it's been a really good run, and I think we're going to have a chance this year to have another good basketball team. But and we'll
Mm.
see, we'll
Yeah,
see.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So, Coach, this is something that I definitely appreciate, and this came to me in the form of a mentorship. Why you talked about it a little bit earlier in the conversation about how you had the family come around and be at practices or ride the bus, and all of those things. I'd like to say that you taught me a lot in those moments because you taught me that nothing was more important than family.
Hmm.
What what made you make that a priority? Because a lot of college coaches do not bring their families around the gym. They would just say, "Hey,
Hmm.
I'll catch up with them in the summer or whatever." But what made you prioritize family during your time at Catawba?
I don't know how it probably came about. I know that, when we were D1 and we have a recruit on campus, I know lots of times they would have a breakfast over at the head coach's house, bring the recruits and, the host over, the players host him and eat. And I always thought that was pretty cool. Um, and I don't know. I just realized that if you're going to recruit a young man to run him off in a year, you just it's just not right. It's a little bit of the golden rule involved. Treat people like you want to be treated, and I just started feeding itself a little bit, and all of a sudden, Jamie pops up, and he was born, and he's into basketball, and he's running around the gym, and he's wanting to come to practice every day, and then
Hmm.
we have Madison, and they want to go on the bus, and they thought that was the coolest thing, get to ride with the players and eat at Golden Corral. And, they bring their blanket and make them a tent, up in
Yeah,
the front
yeah.
seat of the bus. And, I remember we drove all night back from Orlando. We went down there and played in the tournament. And
Yep.
Helgi Magnusson from Iceland come up and says, "Coach, can we watch something besides SpongeBob? We've been watching SpongeBob on the movie, and my kids are out, but they're sound asleep. But SpongeBob's still running on the TV
Yeah.
monitor." I just always felt like if it's around, the players get to see, they get to interact with the kids. Jolly Manning is still works my camps, and
Hmm.
Jolly's a full grown man, got his own coach in high school and whatnot. Comes up here, but if I go upstairs to Jamie's bedroom, and Jamie's 25, he'll stay here when he comes home.
Hmm. Hmm.
Few days a year. On his nightstand, there's a picture of him and Jolly on his nightstand, and it's still
Yeah.
there. And it's really cool. I think that somebody like Jolly took time to hold Jamie's hand. They walked off the bus together. Marvin, he's married to Jessica.
Yep.
Um, Jessica's pregnant at the same time Tina, and then next thing you know, they're on the bus together with Sydney, and it's just sort of funny how it goes. And I called some flack about it. Why do you need to take them? Why this and that?
Of
I
course.
said I just think it's important. I think it's important that you know I'm coaching. Why should I be away from my family when you're home at night with your family? and we're getting in at 2 or 3 in the morning. I'm gonna go 10 days. I'm, I'm with Rob Fields more than I am with
Yeah.
my daughter Madison.
Yep.
And I just felt like it was important to have them around and spend time with them. And knock on wood, hopefully Tina and I have done a good job raising our kids, and they love it. I mean, they're all you know, Jamie, college basketball player, Madison and Hannah, a college gymnast. Jake wants to go somewhere. Jake wants to coach. So,
Yeah.
hopefully, if that's what Jake wants to do, we'll be able to find him. And the easiest way is go walk on a D1 school somewhere, sit on the bench, cheer, learn it, get
Get
to
some
practice,
experience.
get to know the
Hmm.
coaches, and so many of these kids now are they're starting off as managers, and then they could become graduate assistants. If you played, like, right now, you have an advantage to coaching because you played.
Yep.
And
Yep.
so I think Jake wants to do the same thing. But to get back to the being parents and having our kids around, I just felt like it was important, and there were many nights when the bus had to pull over and drop us off, because if I went all the way back to Catawba, it's going to cost me another hour, and
Yep.
I'm picking up a sleepy kid, putting him in his car seat. Well, it's lifetime memories. And when I
Man.
left Catawba, they all of them said, "Daddy, stay college, go do this, go do this." And I thought through it, and the biggest thing, Rob, on that, I knew I was going to pack up and move. We were settled here. The kids loved their school. We had a good life, and now that I pack them up to go to Montana State to coach, and the moment we get there, okay, I'll see y'all next Saturday because I got
Yeah.
to go recruit.
Yep. Yep.
And
Yep. Yep. Yep.
I just didn't know, and that's what I wanted to do. And I'm having an absolute blast now coaching.
Yeah. And coach, like I'm really proud to have been a part of that moment. So first of all, you had your family around, but Coach Marv, he brought his wife and eventually his daughter around. What it did for me was, like I said, I just think I just said it. It let me know that nothing's more important than family. And of course, right now your kids are older. You have college students in the family. I mean, Jake is in high school. Uh, but what it does is, in the long term, the kids will have no excuse to be successful. They can't say that dad
Mhm.
wasn't there or dad was away at games all the time and it was just only us and mom. No, the whole family was there. And what it does in the long term is it just makes for, more well-rounded children, and they also get the experience of going to the games, et cetera, et cetera. But I mean, and with where I am in my life right now, I'm always going to draw back to what you did when we were at Catawba, because the atmosphere that you set, and you didn't work less because the kids were around. You just worked around it.
Yeah.
You made it work. And anything that I do, that's what I want. I want to be able to incorporate my family into my life, and I'm not going to work less. I'm just going to work around it, and I'm going to be around my family. Like, it's just, I just loved the fact that you did that, and I appreciate it a lot more now, especially since, I mean, I'm a father now, so
Yeah.
you know.
You've got to make that call earlier on. This is how I want to do it. I want to have a family approach to it. It is hard for me to tell you and Donald and Antonio, we're a family. We're going to look after each other. And I'm not setting an example. I'm not, being the, looking at how I do. Because I really believe this, the more attention others pay to what you do than what you say.
Hmm.
You see me do something, and then it sticks with you more than what I say. What I say is going to go in one ear and come out the other. But
Yeah.
what you see me do, it makes a big difference. And I think it's important. And looking back on it, I think I did as much as I could. But man, I almost wish I could have done more. We played in Europe. I took them with me to Europe. We went over and played Iceland in Belgium. Earlier on, I took them to Hawaii with me. We played a money game at Catawba at Tulsa. I flew out there with them, took my mom with me. I had lost my dad, took my mom.
Hmm.
But I just think all of that stuff is memories, and
Yes.
you have them around. They enjoy it. They're a part of it. They learn from it. And I look back at Catawba. I have no regrets of what I did. I wish we could have finished it a little bit better. Maybe I'd still be there. But Lord, God works in mysterious ways. If I hadn't probably got run off, I wouldn't have done what we did at Central. You know
Absolutely.
what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yep. Yep. Yep.
And
Exactly.
people ask me, where does that fit? I said, we had some really good teams at Catawba, and we did really well. But it right now it probably goes on the top shelf because running the table in high school, going 32-0 is pretty impressive. And
Hmm.
um, I had a little bit to do with it, but I had some good kids, and they bought into what I was telling them, hook, line, and sinker, and they ran with it.
Yeah.
But if we hadn't lost a year before and got our teeth kicked in, we might not have won it today. So,
Yep.
sort of where I'm going, you don't know sometimes when something bad happens how it's going to set you up for something good down the road. So
Yeah.
it's pretty cool. So
Yeah. But coach, listen, I'll ask you a couple questions and I'll get you out of here because I know you.
okay,
Uh, so this is the one. This is where I want to go with the next question, coach. You coached a lot of players over your tenure. As a head basketball coach, as an assistant, et cetera, et cetera. If you could send a message to all of us out there, including myself, what would be a message that you can send to the players just to let us know that, hey, I still got your back? Do you have any like anecdotes?
well, I think the one thing, Rob, I'm so proud of what we did as a coach and a team and players, but I'm equally as proud of what you guys have done and the men you are. And I look back on it. I think 18 or 19 of my former players went on to play professional basketball. 18 or 19, I may be off one number either way,
Hmm.
are coaching either college, high school. They went to be coaching. And I think, hopefully the lessons we learned at Catawba, and you guys know at the end of practice, I'd pull out that sheet and remember what my thought of the day was, and I'd preach for a little bit,
Yeah.
and just over and over and over, and I think that's sort of the mindset. Art Wade, and I love Art Hall of Fame at Catawba. He sent me a letter one time, and after he graduated, he goes, Coach Baker, every single day of my freshman year, I hated you. I hated being at Catawba. I hated life. And he said, now that I'm graduated, everything you said and did, you were 100% right.
All made
And
sense.
yeah, and that was part of it. Here's Art, coming in, and I don't say this in the wrong way. I'm probably the first white man that ever yelled at him. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah.
He's coming from a different background. That's what the neat thing about all this is. I'm taking in recruiting at Catawba. I'm recruiting black kids, white kids, Christians, non-Christians.
Mm,
Okay, rap music, country music,
mm,
single parent, multiple parent, two parent
mm,
homes. And the challenge is taking all that mix of whatever it is and getting everybody on the same page.
mm.
And, all of a sudden you come in and a freshman not used to working, or you can't get on his tail a little bit and he pouts and all this. And I think that's the challenge of a head coach, is mixing all that together. And we don't sell, as coaches, we don't sell this pair of shoes.
Mm,
Okay, Rob, I got a pair of Air Jordans. They're $500 now. They're vintage shoes. You want to buy them?
mm,
I mean, that's concrete. You could write me a check for $500. I'll give you. But when I'm selling to you this concept, that if we come together, if we work hard, if we play together, we can win a championship. Woo, that's a lot harder to sell. It is a lot harder to sell.
Yeah.
And you just try to get everybody going on the same page. And you guys, you probably heard me say this 100 times. If the mama duck will lead, the baby ducks will get in line. They'll follow the mama duck. So that was encouraging my leaders to do what they were supposed to do. And being a peer leader is probably one of the hardest things, because it's hard. You want to be liked. You don't want to tell a junior, hey, don't go out tonight. Well, what do you mean I can't go out tonight? Well, we got a championship game. We're playing for a championship. Well, I want to go out. Well, no, you're not going out. Well, that's hard for you to do. You know what I'm saying? Yep. Because he's your peers. You want to be liked by him. But I think that's the neat thing about coaching is that getting everybody on the same page, taking people from all walks of life, mixing it all up together. Going back to your original thing where we started off, I think that the family atmosphere of seeing young men come in, do well, still you're playing, you've got it going in the right direction. Donald's got it going. Antonio's manager of a food line grocery store. Don Zale's got his thing going in New York. He's doing really well. You look at Art Wade, he's a high school athletic director. Marvin's a principal. I got chiropractors. I got guys that have really done well, and I'm just so proud of them. Hopefully, they took the college experience. And you remember me doing this. I tell all your moms at graduation, thanks for loaning me your son for 4 years.
I remember.
And I really believe that. We all got gifts, and God's blessed us all in different ways, and we're trying to get it on the same way. And the parents loan them to me, and I picked on Donald so much because he was so thin and skinny when I got him. When I got Donald, he was a little acorn, and I put him in some dirt and watered him, and now he's a full-grown oak tree. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
He became a full-grown man. And I think in college I was trying to take a kid that was a 7, and I'm not even counting basketball as a person and all that. I'm taking a 7, and in time I get him out of get with him for 4 years, I want him to be a 9.5 or a 10. And that's what this is all about. And I think too, if you don't worry about winning and losing, I never ever talked to you guys a lot about winning. I just was always, our motto was to be, TOBE, to be the best you can. If you learn to be the best you can, you're going to have all that other stuff. You're going to have championships. You're going to have wins. You're going to have the fame. But if you focus on to being, the process of to being is what brings all that stuff to you. And now I'm looking at high school. I'm taking kids that are probably 3s and 4s, and I'm trying to get them up to 6s and 7s so they can go to college and keep growing and so forth. But it's a process. It's not easy every day dealing with people. It was some days I had to get on you guys. I got on you one day hard in practice, and you had tears in your eyes. You took a bad shot, and that was part of your deal. That's what I wanted you to do, is come in there and score. But I didn't want you to shoot it with somebody 6'6" all in your face 1 second after you got on the court. Just slow down, Rob. Just give me 20 seconds to get in the flow of the game. And then once I think you understood what I was talking about, I never said anything else to you. It's funny how it works itself out. So, I have a picture I took down here. Hey, this was you right here. You see yourself? Look at that, clean shaven. Look at that.
Oh yeah, that was at the Presbyterian, coach. I was 0 for 8 that game. I'll never forget.
Yeah, we won't put that up. We ran
the color play 8 times. And it worked perfectly, and I missed that corner 3-pointer.
Missed it all the time.
We still won.
Here's the crew: Donald, Donzel, and Tony over there. Hey, and there's my kids. They're in the.
There they go. There they go.
Amy, Madison, Hannah. And here we all come running in there. that was a crew there. So that
Yeah.
I took down the wall. I said, I was gonna bust your chops, clean shaven and
I re-
looking good there,
I
y'all.
rem- I remember I remember everything about that day playing PC. But coach, so before we get out of the show, I just want to say first of all, just thank you for being you, but also thank you for allowing me as a player to just do my thing. Like you gave me an opportunity. I don't know if a lot of coaches would have done that, with me being kind of a hybrid player and, kind of being in the middle, kind of a point guard, but, more more of a primary scorer type of situation. But I really appreciate you giving me a chance because, who knows what would have happened had I not gone to Catawba, because Catawba was really, I had some other schools that were interested, but my heart wasn't in it for those other schools. But as soon as I got the opportunity to come to Catawba and you showed interest, I was like, okay, this is it. Yeah. So I really appreciate you allowing me to do that. And, it eventually led me to getting opportunities to play over here in Europe. But yeah, just thank you, because that meant a lot to me that someone showed, so much respect to my family and to me. And also you just built my confidence on another level. So yeah, thanks, coach. I really appreciate that.
Well, and Rob, you were more than and deserving of it, and you're a great young man, and now you're not young, as young anymore.
Nah.
You're doing well, and it was a really good time, and for all your players out there. Feel free to go look at the Catawba record books, and Rob Field's names are in there. Free throws, 3 pointers, so forth. I mean, you've done really well, and
Mm-hmm.
it was a little bit of my philosophy. I didn't want to overcoach, and I
Mm-hmm.
wanted to put the kids in position. If I could get them to play hard, then I felt like the kids I brought in the program had enough talent to be successful. And I did, if you get to thinking about too much, your feet become awful slow.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think about some teams in our league. I thought they were really talented, but the kids, you couldn't make the right decision. They were overtrained, and
Right.
it's a
Right.
lot like study history a little bit. The American soldier in World War II wasn't trained as well as the German. The German guy was overtrained, but the German guy couldn't think. And the American soldier was pretty ingenious, and he could think and make quick decisions, where the Germans were just programmed to go. And
Mm-hmm.
I sort of thought about that many times with my team. I didn't want I wanted them to play, and you were a lot like, you're going to laugh when I think about you a lot like Harden.
Yeah.
You come in, score. You could get that ball to the rim. You could find multiple ways. You could pull that thing up. You could shoot the deep three, and you had a lot going for you, and you had the ability, and you fit perfectly into our system. And
No,
again, we mentioned it earlier. You and Donald willing. Donald told me, Coach, I'll do whatever it takes to win. You were the same way,
that's
and
it.
you wasn't worried about starting. I think y'all started embracing that role. Going down through your junior year and senior. That yeah, the, look out, here comes the dynamic duo in here.
Yeah.
This thing's going to get ready to get ugly,
Yeah,
and
yep. We look at the other sideline and see the coaches like, here we go, because their starters are their starters are
yeah,
a little beat up, right? So Donald and I, we give each other knuckles and a nod, like, yep, you know what time it is, and we just go out and do our thing. Like at
yeah,
the
and
4 minute mark, we knew it.
it was really reassuring for me as a coach, knowing that I'm bringing 32 points off the bench. And
Hmm.
you're going to laugh, Rob. I brought 35 points off the bench this year at Central Cabarrus High School. We
That's
It's crazy.
it's
It's,
crazy.
it's crazy.
Just
But you have to
knowing,
have
yeah,
kids. You have to have kids that want to bite in, that want to win, that want to do what you need to be done. And when I think as a coach, you have a clear point of this is where we want to be. The players can bite in, give it not worry about their ego. Here are you and Donald. Both of you have had distinguished high school careers. Both of you have played professional. You're still playing, done really well, and you tell people you came off the bench in college.
Yeah, I tell my players now, they're like, off the bench. I'm like, yeah.
Yeah.
And didn't think
And,
twice about it. I
no,
was
and
free as a
it's
bird.
because you want to win. You want to be successful, and that's the way. With about 4 minutes to go in my high school team now, they here come them warm ups off. They know they're going in, and they go in.
Yep.
And I usually don't take them back out. Same with you guys, but I wanted to finish well, and I just felt like it's what's best for the team. And well, if you start focusing, what am I going to do to help this team win? It's amazing what happens, and it's like this. You'll understand if you say I'm going into this game to score 20 points, you never scored 20.
No, absolutely
No,
not. Because then you
you,
start
you
counting the
never.
points as you
You
go.
start counting, you start worrying about it, you miss a few shots, and you start wondering what the heck's going on. Well, here you are, Rob. You're going in when you worry about winning. I'm going to do everything I can to play hard. I'm going to set my teammates up. I'm going to do whatever coach needs. All of a sudden, the ball starts falling in your hands under the basket. All of a sudden, you're playing to win. You got wide open looks. But the
Yep.
kids in this society right now are so programmed. I got to do this mixtape. This college coach. Jamie tells me Alabama, they don't watch one mixtape. He's a GA at Alabama in 2 years.
Wow.
But what they're going to do, they're going to go on Synergy, and they're going to look at all your games, and they're going to watch every play where you come off a pick and roll.
That's where it's at.
They're going to watch every play where you guard a live dribble.
That's where it's
But
at
here
right
they are,
there.
the parents are spending all this money getting the video of the kid dunking it backwards, and then wonder why everybody can dunk
See that? Let's see that. Let's see that full game film. Let's see. Let's
Yeah,
see
yeah.
where your
Let's go
pedigree
break
is.
it down. Let's
Hmm.
break down, see what you can do, what you can't do, and then that don't worry about all the mixed stuff. Just worry about winning, and if you worry about winning, doing what you can, it's amazing how it comes back to you. And I look back on my career, Rob. I think that's the biggest thing. God has a plan. He puts you with certain people. It's like the comet coming. You're together for a while, then you break back off. But at that point in time, the right people have been with me at the right time. Uh, you know, uh, I'm riding down the road one day. I was something on the radio. They're talking about the NBA. You're going to laugh when I say this. NBA first team and all this. I turned the radio off. I started thinking, who's my first team?
No, that's a nice one, Coach.
Who's my second team?
Who's your first?
Who's my third team? My third team would win the league right now.
Yeah, Coach. I'm
Now
I'm gonna
you're
put
going.
you on the spot, Coach. I need your top five Catawba
Oh,
players.
oh, my top five. Oh my goodness, I'm gonna make somebody mad on this one. Hey,
Yes.
I'm gonna solve this one easy. Mike Feller's going in the Hall of Fame now, so
Okay.
I gotta put Mike on the first team.
Yeah.
Uh, Marvin's on the
Gotta put
first
Marv.
team.
Yeah.
Art's on the first team.
Yeah. Gotta put my art.
Okay. Antonio Houston scored 2,300 points.
Yeah, and he would have scored 3,000 had I not been there.
Oh, that's true. Well, y'all both are coming down the court yelling at me, 4C, coach, 4C. I want 4C, 4C. So my gosh, now, Rob, where do you go?
Oh
I mean, I
yeah.
got yourself, I got Brian Graves,
Ooh. BG still
Helgi
one of my
Magnuson,
favorite point guards ever.
Helgi Magnuson,
Helgi. Yep.
Chris Woolridge,
Whew.
Terrence Hamilton. Oh, I know Dominique Reed.
Yeah.
I mean, I can go on and on and on.
Yeah.
I was putting together in my mind my first team, second team, third team.
Yeah.
And I left off a two-time all-conference player. I
It's,
left Helgi off
it's
riding down the road. I got where I was doing, still thinking, I said, oh my gosh, I didn't left Helgi off.
and
So,
the list
you
probably
just,
changes as
oh
things
yeah.
progress. All right, Coach.
So, but
I think I can move up the favorites list by having you on the show. So I think
yeah, oh
I
yeah,
moved up two spots.
you're 1,500 points. So and you know, if I put you five,
Uh,
I'm gonna get a call from BG as soon as he sees it. Oh man, come on, coach, you know I was better than
I
Rob. You
killed
know, well,
Rob the whole year. I killed him. Yeah, he did. Like
yeah, so,
he
and you
was.
know BG, I love BG.
Yeah,
BG will say, "Oh, come on, coach, you know that's not right. You
yeah,
know
yeah,
that's
yeah.
not
For
right.
sure, for sure.
Look how many assists I had. Look how many assists
Oh
I
yeah,
had.
yeah,
So
yeah, for sure. But
good times and good people. So
yeah,
it's pretty cool.
but
So.
yeah, Coach. I mean, listen, I I don't want to hold you all day, and we can wrap up here. The last question is this: in a perfect world, because manifestation is a really big part of this show. Um, what's the perfect scenario for you now at this stage in your life? And that could be personal, professional, or both. What would be the perfect scenario for you? What's that look like at this stage in your life?
Well, you know, I'm a little older coaching high school kids, and I did it totally backwards. You know, most people go high school, college, and you know, I want to see if I can make another run or two here at Central. You know, I think we're going to have a pretty good basketball team. I enjoy going to work. You know, a lot of my friends are retiring. We were some good friends last night. And they're planning, you know, their retirement. They're going to travel and do well. I enjoy working. I
Hmm.
enjoy being around the kids. I think it keeps you young. You know, you would laugh. Yesterday, I did the push-up ladder with the PE classes.
Oh yeah,
Five push-ups, 5, 5, 4, 4. You know, all I did it twice yesterday in school. Still working out in the mornings, and you know, they have me helping with 2 weightlifting classes. Follow our football coach, so I've got a pretty good situation at Central. You know, I like to make sure and get all my kids situated. Jake's going to be a junior, so I told Tina if he came with me over there and he's in our STEM program, you know, at least try to stay through, you know, his senior year, not make him have to go again. So, you know, for the immediate future, probably inside, I want, you know, go 2 more years this year and next year, then, you know, see what happens and, knock on wood and, you know, good health and, you know, God has a plan and,
hmm
you know, whenever one door shuts, another one opens up and, you know, we think when something goes wrong, it's the end of the world, but usually it's a setup for something really good getting ready to happen. And, you know, we'll see. You know, I don't know. Somebody asked me too long ago, when you going to retire? And I said, you know, I don't know, but I still think there's one more something I'm going to have to do or want to do. And I don't know what that's going to be, Rob. I don't know if I'd end up at another school coaching, a college or a high school. You know, I enjoy speaking. There's a side of me that said, man, if I could get my act together, I could, you know, go do some speaking and
yeah,
doing some stuff like that. You know, I've been around a long time and I got a few stories and, you know, had experienced a good little bit. So, and we'll see. Good Lord has a plan. And just every day you wake up, you do the best you can and you try to do right by people and you know, I tell people I'm trying to get through the next 4 minutes, and you know that's the old thing I would tell you guys. You know, my college players are looking at the next 4 minutes, and you know I said it early. Dad's looking at the 4 years, and Mama's looking at 40 years. So I'm trying to get through, and I say that, and people don't have any idea what I'm talking about. I say, yeah, I'm just trying to get through the next 4 minutes. I'm worrying about where the next meal's coming from and whatnot, but you know, I know the good Lord has a plan and something good's going to happen. And, you know, I have taken a little bit more time now to, you know, we go to a concert or something, enjoy that moment, you know, where when back at Catawba, you were always thinking next, 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 next. And, you know, high school, we got a little bit more restricted. We cannot practice on Sundays. We have some dead periods in there. So, I think all that's helped me temper down a little bit, enjoy life a little bit more, enjoying the present, and we'll see what will happen. I think there's a plan out there, and you know I'm you're going to laugh when I say this, because I always talked about the cup being half full
Yep.
or half empty. How do you look at something? Do you look at the positive or the negative? And I told somebody in the last few years, I've become more, I'm not worried so much about half full. I'm trying to fill that cup back up.
Oh yeah.
And
Oh yeah.
whereas, with the young people, giving them, some days you got to hug them a little bit. Some days you got to kick them in the tail, trying to make a little difference in their life. And, it's fun. I enjoy doing it. I'm thankful that I had such a good run at Catawba. Got people like yourself that, I'm so proud of what they've done. And you can even look behind me, the championship balls. Your run goes across the top. You wore your rings today. I grabbed your rings. I was going to say, here's Rob's 2 rings right here. So he's got his rings on. And, my high school team is 2 weeks of Friday night football. They're going to get their state championship ring. And that will be a proud moment.
Nothing like it, man. Nothing like it.
You win a state high school championship. It changed your life. And, it is a big deal. And those kids right there, 12 kids, will always have that bond. And they're going to come back when I'm dead, long and gone, 40 years from now, to a high school. They're going to honor the 2023 state championship team. And they'll walk out there, with knee replacements and so forth, but they always will be close because of that and what they accomplished. So
for sure.
But Rob, I appreciate you having me on.
Yeah.
It's been great being caught up with you, and
Yeah.
Proud of you, and know that there's big plans in your future too.
Thanks, Coach. I really appreciate that. And if you want to share your socials, or if you want to share the school socials so they can follow you guys this season, just share any socials that you have attached to the team, and then we can wrap up.
Well, you can get me at Coach Jim Baker, and that's my private one, and personal one, and then on it, can you link it over? We're at CC Vikings _ Bball.
Okay.
CC Vikings _ Bball, and a lot of people follow us on Max Preps, and that's sort of the center now of high school sports, Max Preps, and we've got a good program and got good kids, and I'm proud of the work we did at Catawba, and I'm equally now proud of what we've been able to accomplish there. And proud of you, Rob. Love you, buddy. Appreciate
Love you
getting
too,
to
Coach.
spend some time with you, and can't wait to follow you as you go do bigger and better things.
For sure. All right, ladies and gentlemen, go ahead and follow the Vikings as they go on another championship run, and also follow the good ball coach, Coach Jim Baker. Ladies and gentlemen, you know how we do when we wrap up the show. It costs nothing to be good to someone. Be good to someone today. I'm Rob Fields. I got my rings with me today, and of course I brought them for the legend, Coach Jim Baker. Listen, that's another one that we, wrapped up, and we'll catch you on the next one. Peace.